Hello everyone, it's Moby the Yarny, and this is Crochet 101 Part 4. And today we're going to go over crocheting in the round, and we're going to try to get to the moth stitch also. So we're going to start out, but if you're new here, thank you for joining us, and if you've come back again, thank you for coming back. So we're going to start with either a slip knot or a tie on, which I always tie on because that's the way I was taught. But if you prefer a slip knot, that's fine. But whichever one you're going to do, I'm using a 4-weight yarn and a J-hook. That's what we're going to be starting with today. And the granny square I'm going to be showing you is done with double crochet, which that's what we went over last time. We went over doubles and trebles and all those good things. So we're going to be going in a circle, which is what grannies do. They go around in a circle pattern. Okay, so once you get your slip knot or tie on, we're going to chain 4. So remember, we don't count the one that's on the hook already. We're going to go from there. Okay, so we're going to do 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to try to keep your tension even. We're going to go right back in. We're going to slip stitch into that first chain that we made. I try to keep that flip to one side to keep the tail out of the way, but you want a long enough tail so you can weave it in later. And I try to keep that pinched open with my finger. And then we're going to slip stitch, which is just pulling the yarn all the way through both of those like that. And then we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And this first chain that we just did, the chain of 3, is going to count as the first double. Then we're going to do 2 more doubles into that loop that we just made. So we're going to yarn over, go through the center of that loop, yarn over, bring it through. You should have 3 loops there. Bring it through, yarn over, bring it through 2, and yarn over, bring it through 2. That's the double. We're going to do 1 more. Yarn over, go back through that loop, yarn over. You have 3 loops. Yarn over, bring it through 2. Yarn over, bring it through 2. Now this is the first cluster, a granny cluster. Granny clusters usually involve 3 doubles put together. Sometimes they do them in half doubles or even trebles, but most granny clusters involve 3 doubles. Then we're going to chain 2. Sometimes you chain 3, sometimes just 1, but this is going to be our corner. We're going to have 4 corners on the first round. Okay, so now we're going to go back into that same spot that we just did. We're going to do 3 more doubles right in there. So we're going to yarn over, go back through that space, yarn over, bring it through, have 3, yarn over, bring through 2, yarn over, bring through 2. We're going to do 2 more because we need 3. Yarn over, bring it through, yarn over, bring it out. You got 3, yarn over, bring it through 2, yarn over, bring it through 2. Let's do it again. Yarn over, go through, yarn over, bring it through. You have 3, yarn over, bring it through 2, yarn over, bring it through 2. Okay, there's our second cluster, and you see how we formed our corner right here. This is a corner space. If you want to mark your corners, this will be a good time to put a stitch marker, not a slip marker, a stitch marker. Okay, and again, we're going to chain 2 because we're on our corner, and we're going to do another set of 3 clusters in that same, 3 doubles in that same space. So we're going to go through that space again, yarn over, bring it through. You got 3 stitches. Yarn over, bring it through 2, yarn over, bring it through 2. Again, yarn over, go back through that space, yarn over, bring it through, got your 3, yarn over, bring it through 2, yarn over, bring it through 2. Let's do it again. Yarn over, go through there, yarn over, bring it through, yarn over, bring it through, yarn over, bring it through. And there's our second set, our third set of 3 clusters. And we made another corner here. Here's another corner. If you want to mark them, put your stitch marker in there. We're going to chain 2 again, 1 and 2. Now we're going to make our last set of 3 doubles. We're going to yarn over, go back into that center space. We're going to yarn over, bring it through 2, yarn over, bring it through 2, yarn over, go back through, yarn over, bring it through, you got your 3, yarn over, bring it through 2, yarn over, bring it through 2, we need one more, yarn over, go through that space, yarn over, bring it through, yarn over, bring it through 2, yarn over, bring it through 2. Okay, now we have 4 sets of 3 clusters, 4 sets of our clusters. We're going to chain 2, and now we have to hook it to our first set. Now most people would have you hook it to this chain right here, the third, but I always go up here and go into this space because it gives it a neater appearance. Instead of sometimes it looks slouchy. Okay, so this is our first row in a granny square, and you can see these 4 holes are all our corners, and I marked the first corner we did here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn the work. Most people would have you chain 3 first, but this is how I do it. I turn, and then I'm going to slip stitch into this corner, and then I'm going to chain 3, and this chain of 3 will count as our first double. So now we're going to yarn over, go through here, go through this corner space, and do 2 more doubles. So yarn over, go through, yarn over, pull through, and now we have our first set of the double clusters here. Now we're going to chain 2 because we're making another corner. We're going to go back into that same space where we made the corner and do 3 more doubles. Yarn over, go through, yarn over, bring it through 2, yarn over, bring it through 2. We're going to do that one more time. Okay, now here, I want you to look at your work right now. I want you to see if your tension is too tight. If you have tight tension, or if you have loose tension, if you have normal tension. Like I know my tension right now is pretty good for me, but if you're looking at it and your tension is really tight, you're going to need to chain 1 right here. If not, if you don't chain 1, your middles are going to be pulling in. But I know my tension is good, so I'm not going to chain 1. But if you know you have tight tension, chain 1 before you go on to the next corner. That's my advice for you. But I'm going to go on to this corner here. We're going to go on to this space. So we're going to yarn over. Remember, if you have tight tension, chain 1 before you go to your next corner. We're going to go over here. We're going to do the same thing. 3 clusters, chain 2, 3 cluster. Our 3 cluster. This is a cluster, the 3 doubles. Okay, we yarned over, we're going to yarn over again, bring it through 2, yarn over and bring it through 2. Okay, we're going to do that 2 more times. Yarn over, bring it through, yarn over, bring it through. 1 more. Okay, here's our first set. We're going to do 2, chain 2. I got my pin caught in my yarn. Okay, now we need 1 more in this corner because we made another corner. 1 more cluster means a set of 3 double crochets. Okay, so now we have made 2 more corners. and then we have a space in between, which we'll address when we get around again. If you want to mark your corners again, you can do that by putting in stitch markers. It's a little obvious where your points are, but if you've not done them before, it's a good thing to mark them. Okay, and if you have tight tension again while we're at this point, chain one here, and then we're going to go into the next corner over here. So we're going to yarn over, go through that space, pull it up, yarn over, bring it through two, yarn over, bring it through two, and get two more doubles right here. Chain two, and then we're going to do 3 more doubles in that same corner. Yarn over, bring it through two, yarn over, bring it through two. Okay, back in that same spot. Maybe one more double. Okay, so we've made our third corner right here. And I don't have any more stitch markers in here, but I do have this piece of yarn. Sometimes that's all I will use, especially if I'm doing a sweater or something, because I can move a piece of yarn up without taking it out. So if you don't have regular stitch markers, throw a piece of yarn in there. Okay, and again, we're at that spot. If you have a tight tension, chain one here. All right, we're going to go over to this corner. We're going to do our first cluster of 3 doubles. Yarn over, take it through the space. Yarn over, bring it through two, yarn over, bring it through two. Chain two, and 3 more doubles. Yarn over, go through the space, yarn over, bring it through two, yarn over, bring it through two. This is basically just using all doubles and chain spaces. Okay, and right here we're going to slip stitch through this, not the first one, but the second one up here. Okay. And then we're going to turn our work. And again, I'm going to slip stitch into this space. And we're going to chain 3. Okay, so now that's 2 rows of a granny square. Now sometimes people will change colors after each row. So let me go back down. And I will show you, if you want to change colors, what you would do here. Okay. I would change colors right here before I attached to there. So I will cut off here. And I would bring my new color in right here. I'm just going to hook this way on this one because it's easier to show you. So I would go to hook into here. I would bring in my new color like this. I would make sure I pull both of these ends tight here. I don't want them to be loose. Okay, I would turn. Pulling the wrong piece. Okay. And sometimes I will take that first loop with both strands onto it, and then I will go through and bring in the new color and chain, make sure I have the right part, chain 3, and then we turned our work and get this back to the other side. It's easier if you keep all of your loose ends on one side, then you'll know which side is your is the back of your work. Okay, so I'm going to do my 3 clusters here, my 3 doubles. Okay, so you notice we have the space in between our corners now, which we're going to have to do the a set of 3 doubles in those spaces. So now we're going to go over to our corner and fill that in with our, the same way with 3 doubles, chain 2, and 3 doubles to make another corner. Then we're going to come to another space right here, and we're going to do a set of 3 doubles in that space. And remember about your tension. If your tension's tight, to go ahead and chain 1 in between. That tail does not want to stay in the back. And if you want to take the time in between when you add on to put your ends in, then your ends won't get in your way. But this is basically your granny square. But it's good if you use, I like to use self-changing yarns. Oop, I'm not chaining one. But you would just keep going again, and each row you get longer spaces in between. You would get more more rows in between. Let me see if I have an example here. Oh, I took that in the other room, my hat. Nope, I don't. But each round you go around, it keeps getting bigger, and you keep adding more spaces. But that's the way you could actually do a bunch of little squares and then seam them together, or you could keep going and make a giant blanket out of just keep adding different colors. And that's a thing people are doing right now. They just keep adding different colors on and making them like a mega blanket, a mega granny blanket. But this is how you do the granny square, and you just keep track of your corners, and but you just need to learn your double and make sure you do your middle correctly. Some people use a magic circle in the middle, but you really can't see that center, and we use the chain of 4 in the middle. So if we keep going to finish this, let's see, we're on this row here. If we go around, and I'm just using yarn that I had left over from an Easter project that I did. But I got this yarn in a mystery box from Mary Maxim. They sent me the 80s colors. That's what I called it, because it looked like the colors we wore in the 80s. But yeah, this is a all double crochet project and some chaining. So if you learn double crochet, you can do this project easily. And here we go to 3 doubles in the middle. Remember, if I go too fast for you, you can go to the description box and there's a gear that you can push and it'll slow down the video. And then there's a place where you can pause it and then rewind and go back. You can even turn off the sound if you don't want to hear me. Okay, so there's where we're going to end it. But there's our granny square, and we could keep going. You know, we could do 2 rows of each color, then change colors again. They even have yarn by Red Heart. Let me move this up a bit so I can show that to you a little easier. So it is quite close there. They have this Red Heart. It's called Granny Square yarn. If you follow it, but this is a lot of controversy with this yarn too, because you have to adjust your tension, which I was just talking about. Sometimes you have to make it tighter, sometimes looser to get the right colors in. But the thing is that I'll pull some of the yarn out. There's supposed to be enough of each color to like do your center square, and then it changes to be able to start the next square. And then to start the next one, and on, without cutting your yarn and adding a new color. So this could be something you could try. And then Crystal from Bag of Days, she made a blanket using this yarn, but she did not make granny squares. She just used it to make a, I can't remember the name of it, but it was something about something hidden in it. But that was it. But okay, let's try now the moss stitch, which I'm going to use one of the ones we were using the other day. No, I think I'm going to start over with that. Where's my purple again? Okay. If I can find the end of it. I had a bunch pulled out because I didn't want it to be snagged on anything while we were doing this. Okay, so I'm going to start with a tie on because that's how I like to do it. And I do double tie because if I have to pull it out, I don't want to have to start the knot over. So, all right, so I'm going to do a row of 10. And I like to do, I'll do 11 because I have to do one back, a foundation row of plain singles when I do the moss stitch, which most people don't. It means you just single into every stitch on your chain, which is just, you go into there, pull up a loop, and then go through and pull up through both loops. If you remember the single stitch, yarn over, bring it through both, go through the top V, yarn over, bring it through, and yarn over, bring it through both. Remember the singles. So the moss stitch is just composed of single and chaining. Okay, I'm almost to that end point here. Okay, we got one more here. Of course, No wonder I can't see. My glasses are on my head again. Okay, I'm going to chain 1. No, I'm going to chain 2 and turn. Okay, so here's the top V's. If you can see, here's our V's up here. Okay, and we're going to, when we start our row, okay, I'm going to go back down 1. Yeah, we're going to start the foundation row for the moss stitch, which we're going to single into the first one, which is to go through both, pull up 2 loops, go through both. Then we're going to chain 1. We're going to skip the next one. Then we're going to single into the next one. Single, chain 1, skip the next one. Single into the next one. Chain 1. Skip the next stitch. Single into the next stitch. Chain 1. Skip the next stitch. Single into the next stitch. And that brings us to the last stitch. So we're not going to chain 1. We're just going to go, we're going to single into that stitch. And then here we're going to chain 2 and turn. Now, we're going to skip this first stitch here, and we're going to single into the space that we made. All those chain 1 spaces we made on the first row, that's what we're going to be going into. Okay, we're going to go into the first chain 1 space and single. We're going to chain 1. We're going to go into that second chain 1 space and single. And then chain 1. We're going to go into the next chain 1 space and single and chain 1. We're going to go into the next chain 1 space and single and chain 1. And then that brings us to the last space, and we're going to single into the top of the last space. And we're going to chain 2 and turn our work. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to skip this first stitch here. We're going to single in the first space. I'm going to go down 1 because that was kind of high. Okay, we're going to single into that first chain 1 space and chain 1, single into the next space and chain 1, single into the next space, chain 1, single into the next chain 1 space, chain 1, and then we have one more. Don't chain 1 here and single into the top of the last space. So that is the moss stitch, which you could easily make something out of it. People make blankets out of this stitch, which I prefer to make washcloths out of it because it resembles kind of a knit stitch. I don't think I have the patience to make a whole blanket out of it, but some people do. But I would use a chunky yarn if I did that, because then it would go a lot faster. I made, let's see, I don't know if it's in here. No, that's not it. Let me show you. It's on the other side here. Yeah, I made this washcloth out of the moss stitch, and it went pretty fast, but I made it out of, this is a 100% cotton. I looked it up finally. I could see it, but it went pretty fast making it. It's nice and stretchy and soft, but that could be a project you work on first, is like making a washcloth with a cotton yarn. But yeah, that's something you could work on. So you could practice these two one of the first things you could do with practicing something, like I did with knitting. When I first learned to knit, I would just get a skein of yarn I wasn't using for anything, and I would knit the whole thing just to practice. So if you want to practice a stitch, just make a long chain and practice it as many rows as you could until you get very comfortable with it, and then make a project out of it. But so those are the two things I'm going over today, and I will go over making like a hat, or if you would think of like an amigurumi, crocheting in this kind of a round. This is a continuous where you don't join, and that's how the circle becomes like this. There's no joining in this one. That's how you get this spiral effect here. But I will go over that on the next video. But I thank you for joining me today, and I hope you learned something. And I thank you for coming back, for the ones that keep showing up. And I thank you for wanting to learn. But I'll see you on the next video. And I hope you have a wonderful Thursday. I had this video up, but then when I checked it again, part of it was missing again. I had to dump out some of my storage so I could get another video in. But thank you for joining me, and I'll see you on the next video.